Lesson 73 is about right circular cylinders. We can see we've got a right circular cylinder pictured here. It's just like a tin can. We've got the circle on the top and the bottom, and we've got the circle wrapping around the outside. Now this right circular cylinder, we can see it has a radius of 1 centimeter, and it has a height of 10 centimeters. Now what we want to do in our first problem is to find the volume of the right circular cylinder. Now, the formula to find the volume of a right circular cylinder, how much it can contain within inside the three-dimensional space, is equal to the area of the base times the height. So the area of the base is what it sits on. We need to find the area of our shape on the bottom, what it sits on. So, area of the base, well that's a circle, so we're going to get area of a circle is equal to pi times the radius squared. So in this case we're going to get 3.14 times the radius is 1 centimeter, so we're going to get 1 squared. Well, 1 squared is 1, so we're going to get 3.14 times 1, which must be equal to 3.14. Now since this is centimeters, the area has to be square units, so we'd have square centimeters. In order to find the volume, we take the area of the base and we multiply it by the height. And our height, straight up and down, is 10 centimeters. So to find the volume, V, it's going to be equal to 3.14, we've got square centimeters, times our height of 10 centimeters. Well, we know when we multiply by 10, we can just move the decimal over one spot to the right. It has to go right because the number is getting bigger because we're multiplying by 10. So we're going to get 31.4. And since we have square centimeters times centimeters, well that must be centimeters to the third power, or cubic centimeters. We've got our answer. We've found that this right circular cylinder can hold 31.4 cubic centimeters of material. Let's go ahead and look at our next example. Our next example, same cylinder, and this time we want to find the surface area. So let's go ahead and put in our labels. We've got 10 centimeters as our height, and our radius is going to equal 1 centimeter. So in this one, if we want to find the surface area, well the surface area is how much area there is on the top circle, how much area there is on the bottom circle, and then how much area there is wrapping all the way around the outside, like if it were a label of a tin can. Let's find the area of the top and the bottom. So let's call it the top. The area of the top is going to be equal to pi times the radius squared. And we know that's going to be pi, well, that's 3.14 times 1 squared. 1 squared is 1, so we're going to get 3.14 times 1, which is equal to 3.14. Now the nice thing about surface area of right circular cylinders is the top and the bottom are always the same. So we've got the top, well the bottom, same shape, same size, it's congruent, it must be equal to 3.14 as well. Now what we need to figure out is our distance wrapping around the outside of our cylinder. So something like this if we were working around. Now if we were to pretend this was a label, like if it were chicken soup inside this can, remember the chicken soup would be wrapping around, you might not be able to see all the letters unless you rotated it. This shape, all it is a rectangle like this that has been wrapped around the outside of our cylinder. So for this rectangle, we know that the height of the rectangle, or the width, is going to be 10 centimeters. And what we need to figure out is the length. And the length, that's just the distance we have that goes around the outside of our whole can. So it would be that. That must be the circumference of the circle. So that we know circumference is equal to diameter times pi. So the diameter of the circle must be 2, because it's double the radius of 1, times 3.14. Well, if we double 3.14, we double each of those numbers, we must get 6.28. So we've got the circumference. That must be our length. So now we can multiply the length times the width, and 6.28 times 10 6.28 times 10, well, that must be equal to 62.8. And in this one, well, that would have to be square centimeters because we're talking about area. So to find our surface area, all the surfaces put together, we have to add 62.8 plus 3.14 plus 3.14. Now we know 3.14 times 3.14 is the same thing as 2 times 3.14, so that must be 6.28. So to find our total answer, let's work in here. We're going to get 6.28 plus 62.80 to find our answer. 8 plus 0, that's 8. 2 plus 8, that's 10. We'll carry our 1. 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. And then our 6 comes straight down as well as our decimal. So we've got 69 and 800ths, and this must be square centimeters because we're talking about area. We found our final answer. We can move on to our next question. Next questions will be with lesson practice on page 232. Make sure you've got your notes complete, and I'll see you during our next class.